It's almost 2025. It's been exactly 17 years since my father killed himself. And I wonder what would have happened had he not done that. Where would he be now? Would he be alive? I mean, I always wished. Well, if he didn't do that, my son would have been able to meet him. And my wife. Who knows? But this is what happens when people take their life. They don't think about the survivors. Today is Friday, December 13th, 2024. 17 years ago today, my father took his life. This is actually very difficult to discuss, so I've actually had to stop filming several times, and I think we're only in the first minute. It's hard to believe it's been 17 years. It's still raw, it's still fresh. I mean, nothing's changed other than, I've accepted the fact that he killed himself on that morning. It was a complete surprise, because he was outwardly, he portrayed himself as happy. He'd started a new business earlier in the year, which was doing very well. What we didn't know was that the business that he shut down that year, the old business, he had borrowed money under false pretenses, basically committing, wire fraud. So the 3 months prior to his death, there was a FBI investigation which he had somehow managed to conceal from his family. So he was hoping that he was in debt about $5 million plus. His hope was that he can negotiate some sort of settlement with the warehouse bank. He owned the mortgage bank on Long Island. And his intention was that they could reach a financial settlement and they wouldn't make a complaint to the government. But unfortunately, the warehouse bank was a well-known federal bank. And under the banking laws, they had to, they're a publicly traded company, they had to report this fraud, to the FBI. So their hands were tied. Otherwise, they would have been a party to the fraud. And, he didn't want that for anyone. Nonetheless, he hired an attorney to negotiate an agreement. So at some point during this 3 months prior to his death, I guess he realized that there was no way to escape the criminal liability. So he told his lawyer that he was going to tell his wife, but he delayed it. The morning of December 13th in 2007, he was supposed to surrender to the postal police, where he was supposed to be indicted. Under the postal laws, it's called an information, not an indictment. And he was going to be released on his own recognizance. That was the plan, or so everyone thought. But my father had other plans. You never know what someone else is going through. Like I said, my father did not appear depressed. I mean, 5 days before that, we went to a family bar mitzvah. My dad was dancing, man. My dad was having a great time, or so it seemed. But, you know, if anyone thinks that they don't have options, there are options. I mean, if my dad had to go to jail for 5, 6, 7 years, I would have visited him every weekend, or whatever allotment of time was permitted. But that's not what he wanted, unfortunately. So I've made this today because if anyone is thinking about ending their life, please don't do it. Because the survivors there's a certain pain that just never goes away. Anyway, when I started this video, I said that when people kill themselves, that they never fail to, that what they don't do is take into account the survivors and how their act will affect the survivors. And I realized that probably did not come out the way I wanted it to, because I'm not trying to diminish the feelings of anyone who's thinking about taking their life. That pain is real. I understand that. I think what I'm trying to say several things. One, I don't want anyone to kill themselves anymore. I think that would be the most important thing. And two, don't keep that pain in. I know what it's like to not share what's going on up here. Well, I'm gonna keep that comment that I was about to make in, just because I think that I know, having long suffered with mental health issues, and I've kept that in. I haven't told people how I felt. But when I finally did, I started to heal. And I've never tried to do that. That's not my story. But others have. I am here. And if anyone's thinking about hurting themselves, just know that you have someone to talk to. I may not be able to solve whatever's going on in your head, but I could listen. Let me get back to my family. Don't be a stranger. I'm Sam.